New this morning, DeKalb police are investigating an officer-involved shooting after a fight inside a bar leads to gunfire. Nick Sturdivant is live at Da Bomb Sports Grill restaurant in Lithonia, where, Nick, police are telling us one of the suspects was shooting at someone when the officer confronted him.
Yeah, that's right, Christy. And right now, DeKalb police believe no one was shot, but they say two people were hurt. And police describe what led up to the shooting as an all-out brawl. And DeKalb police told us that an off-duty officer was working here at Da Bomb restaurant, again here in Lithonia on Evans Mill Road. At 3:40 in the morning, the officer was told that there was a fight going on inside after some sort of argument. The officer went inside and started taking people outside of the restaurant. But when he went outside, he heard gunshots from inside. That's when he called for backup. And at this point, people started spewing out into the parking lot area. Meanwhile, gunshots continued in the back of the restaurant. A lieutenant on scene noticed a person in the back shooting at a car leaving. Moments later, the gunman pointed his gun at the lieutenant, and that's when that lieutenant shot at the gunman. The suspect was not hit and was taken into custody along with another person involved with the shooting. The DeKalb police told us that GBI was not called in to investigate because that suspect was not hit.
All right, interesting. It sounds very chaotic there. Thanks for the update, Nick.